guys, Logan here, and welcome back to my Star Wars series. I have covered The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and now we are going to be talking about the last installment of George Lucas' Star Wars prequel trilogy, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And just like in my reviews for The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, this review is also going to contain spoilers. You have been warned. And this film came out in 2005, just 10 years before Star Wars The Force Awakens came along. From the opening scene of this movie alone, the CGI has heavily improved upon the CGI in the first two Star Wars prequels. And to this day, the CGI still holds up. And that's pretty much a big plus. But it's not just the CGI that has improved heavily for the most part, it's also the characters and the action sequences and the storytelling, and most of all, the dialogue. The dialogue, most of all, was also improved, even though there are some not so good lines that were delivered from some characters.
I say patience.
Patience. Yes.
So this movie, as the story starts, it's about Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi arrived at General Grievous' ship to rescue Chancellor Palpatine, who was previously captured by General Grievous. And we got this really cool shot of Anakin and Obi-Wan facing Count Dooku, played by Christopher Lee from Attack of the Clones. And just that lightsaber fight scene, I feel like that was an improvement over the fight scene in Attack of the Clones between Count Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this was the first ever Star Wars movie to get a PG-13 rating. That should tell you something. And we get to see Anakin about to kill Count Dooku, try to cut off his head, and then Palpatine tells him to cut off his head with the lightsabers. And then he certainly did that, and it was done very well. Palpatine, during Anakin's struggle to execute Count Dooku, he was going like, "Do it!" Like he almost got that Emperor voice when he does that. Like it's kind of a hint that he actually is the Emperor. And it was just a cool hint. I like that. And then our heroes get captured and then get to the control room where they meet General Grievous. And then we get to see them fight against the droids in this control room. And let me say this about General Grievous. He was kind of forgettable, to be honest. He was kind of not so well known to me, unless you watch like the Clone Wars cartoon, which I hadn't. I didn't watch that cartoon's Clone Wars thing or whatever. But yeah, again, General Grievous, I thought he was just forgettable. Like there's not really much to him besides him fighting against Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's really cool. And really eye-catching to see. General Grievous escapes. Our heroes try to land General Grievous' ship, which was, by the way, torn into half. Yep. And then our heroes have escorted Chancellor Palpatine to arrive at this place or whatever. I forgot the name of it, but he was escorted there safely. And just after that, we get to see Padme arrived at that thing or whatever, and Anakin saw her and they hugged and kissed each other, and then Padme then said, or told Anakin the news that she had, which is she's pregnant. So we then get to Obi-Wan Kenobi finding out a true location of General Grievous. He heads to this planet, I forgot what it's called also, but he went there and he went to confront General Grievous. And then we get the clone troopers come join the action against the droids and all that stuff. So anyway, we get to see another scene where Anakin joins Palpatine into this whole festival thing or whatever. And we get to see Palpatine talk about the story about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. And for those of you who have no idea who that is, let me have Chancellor Palpatine explain who Darth Plagueis the Wise is. Observe.
The Dark Lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midi-chlorians to create life. He had such a knowledge of the dark side, he could even keep the ones he cared about from dying.
So there you have it. You already know who Darth Plagueis the Wise is, or was, because of the backstory that Chancellor Palpatine has given. And it was very interesting. It was a very interesting backstory about Plagueis the Wise, or Darth Plagueis the Wise. It is ironic. He could save others from death, but not himself. Is it possible to learn that power? Not for a Jedi. So we get to see another shot of the Wookiees fighting against the droids, and then this is when we get to see Chewbacca and all that stuff. He doesn't do much though, so it was kind of disappointing rather. He was just kind of standing there looking at Yoda and looking at the battles that are happening over there, that Wookiee forest base or whatever it was. And then we cut to Palpatine revealing himself to Anakin to be the Darth Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, who the entire Jedi Council, Senate, and the Clone Army have been looking for all this time. And then we cut to the battle between Mace Windu and Chancellor Palpatine, or Darth Sidious, and the fight scene was, well, not so good. I mean, there were two issues that I have with that particular fight scene between Mace Windu and Darth Sidious. The first is that Ewan McDermott's obvious stunt double and his weird facial expressions whenever he swings his lightsaber around was pretty off. It was pretty off in my opinion. Like, what? What the hell am I watching? The second issue I have with this fight scene is that I just noticed this. I don't know if anyone has ever talked about it, or it might not have talked about, but there were two shots, really quick shots, where you see Mace Windu going like, well, like he was all like, "Hey, N-word, you want to fight me? Come fight me then." N-word. I'm not trying to be racist or anything. That's just how I would imagine him saying that. Not if he was not the Jedi. But anyway, those were a couple shots that I really thought were kind of like WTF moments for me. And the weird facial expressions and the obvious stunt double by Ian McDermott's character, Chancellor Palpatine. I just actually don't know the actor's name who's plays Chancellor Palpatine. Ian McDermott, I forgot his name. Moving on, we get to see Anakin struggle to choose which one, because Darth Sidious tells him that he's pretty much the only one who can actually help him save Padme, because early on in the film, if you pay attention, Anakin starts to have these like very terrifying visions of like Padme dying after childbirth. And he just wants her to not die, and he's trying to protect her from his from his horrible premonitions or visions, and he couldn't like stand by and let her die during her childbirth. Yeah, that was pretty much the reason how this came up to be. So then we cut to another shot, and this is when we were introduced to the Execute Order 66 scenes, or a collection of scenes with Execute Order 66 thing, and it was pretty impactful. I actually really like that scene. It really was kind of heart-wrenching, actually, just to see some of the well-known Jedis from the first two Star Wars prequels just being taken out by the clone troopers and all that stuff. It was pretty powerful. I mean, that one shot where you see the camera pans down to the legs and feet of the clone troopers and stuff like that. That was pretty good. Oh, and there was another scene that I forgot to talk about, and it was not an action scene. It was not a CGI moment. It was not a scene from character moving from one location to another. No, it's not any of those things. It is actually a scene with Anakin and Padme staring at each other, or staring out of their windows, making it look like they know where they are, and they look at each other. That was a very good emotional scene, just without words or any line delivery or dialogue being put out. It was very powerful. George Lucas, I thought, pulled it off very well. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way. And back to that shot that I want to talk about Yoda slicing both of the troopers' heads off, and then he hops on Chewbacca's or Chewie's back, and that was awesome. So then we get to see Anakin arrived at Mustafar, where we get to see him slice up and take out every single Separatist leader, which I was hoping that would happen throughout the entire freaking prequel trilogy, because who really gives a crap about the Separatist leaders, or all the Separatists for that matter? We don't even give a crap about them. Just take them out of the movie and we wouldn't have a problem with the whole Star Wars prequels trilogy. Just to see them taken out, it was a big pleasure to see. It was just like, finally, I can relax now. So then we get to another shot of Obi-Wan Kenobi reacting to Anakin wiping out all the young Jedi in the Jedi Temple, and you can really tell just by his facial expression and the way he reacts to it, he didn't seem shocked all that much. He then lets Padme what Anakin did, and this is what he said.
I have seen a security hologram of him killing younglings.
Seriously? That's the line, that's the best line you could ever deliver throughout the entire film? Really? That is some George Lucas dialogue, as far as I'm concerned. Like, wow. I'm just wow. Wow. So Yoda comes face to face with Chancellor Palpatine, or Darth Sidious, and Obi-Wan Kenobi secretly hops on Padme's ship on its way to Mustafar to see Anakin. And we get to see the final fight scenes between the Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi fight scene and the Yoda and Sidious fight scene. And I really like that one shot where Yoda just like pushes the guards back to the wall and knocks them out like, oof, that's right. Just leaving them unconscious. It was awesome to see. And if there is one scene that actually stood out to be the most, or the best, I would say, is probably the Yoda and Darth Sidious scene. It was really cool. I actually really liked that scene. The Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi fight scene, it was probably way too choreographed to watch. All the flashes and all that stuff. It was just like, nah. So then the Yoda and Sidious fight scene was over, and then we get to see the never-ending Anakin and Obi-Wan fight scene. And it's just like, it just went on too long to the point where you're just bored and you just wanted to skip it if you were actually watching this on your Blu-ray or DVD or 4K. Like, it just went on and on and on to the point where you just don't give a crap anymore about this fight scene. You just want it to end. And at the end of their fight scene, we get to hear Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground." Now that reminds me of a scene in one Star Wars prequel movie that I actually reviewed on my channel that have one scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi absolutely certainly was like hanging in a hole of something, and Darth Maul was standing on top of him. That was the one part where he absolutely does not have the high ground and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it just kind of reminded me of that scene in The Phantom Menace. Yeah, I just want to point that out for no reason. Now, I will say this. I really like the part where it shows Anakin giving prosthetic limbs that Anakin was having, while we get to also see Padme giving birth to both Luke and Leia. And it was very good to see the two characters going through an unbearable pain, just both of them in different ways. I really thought George Lucas, he actually did that very well. That was probably one of the best elements about Revenge of the Sith. And then we get to see Darth Vader breathe for the very first time in this prequel trilogy. How cool is that? And then Darth Sidious told Darth Vader that he killed Padme. And after he heard that, he was feeling nothing but rage and anger at himself for killing Padme. And he does this. You know, it's actually quite funny to be now that I think about it. It's actually pretty funny, in the most unintentional way, though. You weren't supposed to laugh at that, but then George Lucas, it seems like George Lucas wanted to put that in there, just put that thing in this movie, and it was funny, but in a very stupid way. So the movie ends with Darth Vader and Darth Sidious looking at the Death Star being built and all that stuff, and we get to see Leia, baby Leia. We get to be with this one guy, I forgot his name, or his character's name. And then we get to see Luke being on a Tatooine, being to Lauren and Emperor. And that's pretty much the end. In terms of the characters, the performances, the storytelling, the CGI, the action sequences, and the dialogue as well, he made a lot of improvements on those aspects about Revenge of the Sith, and it was really cool to see. This one is easily the best installment out of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, and it really shows that George Lucas has tried to give so much of his effort to try to make this film the best, trying to make it the best Star Wars prequel film that he could make, and he pulled that off for the most part. There were some issues there and there, but overall, I enjoyed Revenge of the Sith. I can easily watch this from start to finish. I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, a Gold Medal of Honor. So yeah, guys, I am now done reviewing the Star Wars prequel trilogy. Pretty soon, we are going to be talking about the Star Wars Origins trilogy from like the 1970s and 80s. And in my next Star Wars review, I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars, or Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, directed by George Lucas. And oh yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm so excited to do that review next week. Also, my review for Justice League will be up tomorrow. Tomorrow. So anyway, guys, that's about it. So if you guys enjoyed this review, please click the like button, and if you have already watched Revenge of the Sith, comment down below to let me know what you think of it. Did you like it? Thought it was okay? Or did you not like it? And if you enjoyed what you've seen here and you want to see future videos from me, please click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great week, Battle Squad, and as always, fight the good fight. Peace!